Dean of Faculty of Law, Udayana University, the honorable speakers of International Workshop on the importance of research strategy and outcome for law school rankings, Professor Andrew T. Mitchell from the Monash Law School, Professor Dr. Nikutut Supasti Darmawan S.A.M. Hum LLM from Faculty of Law, Udayana University, the moderator of this event, Mr. Imadi Budi Arsika S.H. LLM, the head of Bachelor Program of Faculty of Law, Udayana University, the head of Master Program of Faculty of Law, Udayana University, the head of Master Notary Program of Faculty of Law, Udayana University, the head of PhD Program of Faculty of Law, Udayana University, all of the heads of Laboratory of Faculty of Law, Udayana University, the head of Research and Community Service Unit from Faculty of Law, Udayana University, the lecturer representative from Faculty of Law, Udayana University, the respected students representative of Faculty of Law, Udayana University, and to all of the participants and committees of this event. Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will begin today's agenda by praying in accordance with our religions and beliefs. I would like to invite all of the distinguished guests to please stand up from your seats. And for the online participants, you may adjust to your surroundings. You may start the prayer. Prayers ended. Please remain standing as our agenda will be followed by singing our national anthem, Indonesia Raya. For the committee consent, time and place are yours. Excellency, distinguished guests, and the participants may be seated.
Ininya, KTN-nya.
The next agenda we will be hearing a report from the head of the committee of this event to Mr. Igusti Ngurah Parikesit, Time and place are yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Om Swastiastu. Salam Nama Budaya. Salam sehat semuanya. The Honorable Dean of Faculty of Law, Udayana University, who is in this occasion is represented by Vice Dean of Academic Affairs. The Honorable the head of law study program across Faculty of Law Udayana University, all distinguished speakers, professors, participants, and also the organizing committee. It gives me a huge pleasure to welcome you all to this international workshop on the importance of research strategy and outcome for law school ranking. As you may know and understand that the aim of this workshop is to identify, analyze, and explore all kinds of research strategy and outcome in order to increase law school ranking. Apart from this aim, recently, Faculty of Law Udayana University is joining international accreditation, that is 5EBAA. So consequently, we have to conduct more international seminar, workshop. We have to invite more international speakers. We have to invite more international students. And also we have to conduct more international research and collab with global partners. I can report to you that the participant of this workshop is lecturers, students majoring in law, general practitioner, researcher, and some general audience. This workshop is conducted in a hybrid way. There are approximately 50 audience attending offline in this auditorium, and around 500 participants join in our WeBake meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are lucky because we have two speakers with international reputation. The first one is Professor Andrew D. Mitchell from Monash Law School. I bet some of you may think that Professor Andrew will deliver material in online, but you are guys wrong because actually he's here. He's in Bali, he's right in front of you in auditorium Faculty of Law Udayana University. Please give applause to him because he's willing to come to here. Professor Andrew D. Mitchell currently serves as Associate Dean for Research in Monash Law School. As for your information, Monash Law School is among the top five best law school in Australia. So this is going to be the right momentum for us to run, to compare, how to design, how to prepare, how to accommodate a research strategy in order to boost, to increase our law school ranking. And also, Professor Andrew also joined as an editor in one of Udayana Journal, that is Udayana Journal Law and Culture. Secondly, we have also Professor Supasti Darmawan, one of the best lecturer, one of the best professor that Faculty of Law Udayana University have, and our commitment to conduct research strategy to publish journal is undeniable. I can say in terms of journal, Professor Supasti is a founding mother of Udayana Journal. And we also have one of the founding father of Udayana Journal, that is Professor Widya. Okay. Without waiting any longer, it's time for me to end my report, and I will invite the Vice Dean of Academic Affairs to formally open this international workshop. Thank you for your opportunity. Om Santi Santi Santi. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for the committee report, Mr. Parikesit. We will continue to hear the speech and opening remarks by the Dean of Faculty of Law, Udayana University, which in this occasion will be represented by the first Vice Dean, Mrs. Dr. Desa Putu Dewi Kasih SIMPU. To Mrs. Desa, time and place are yours.
Om Swastiastu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Namo Buddhaya, dan salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Your Excellency speakers, participants and committee to this international workshop, good morning. First and foremost, we are delighted to acknowledge the Almighty God, Ida Sang Yang Widiwasa, for His magnificent blessings. I was assigned by the Dean of Faculty of Law, Udayana University, to deliver remarks to this international workshop. Allow me to express my sincere gratitude to two speakers, Professor Andrew D. Michel from Monash Law School, Australia, and Professor Niketut Supasti Darmawan from Udayana University. I know both speakers have excellent reputation in designing research strategy and outcome, which is important to increase the quality of law school. Also to the moderator, Madi Budi Arsika, I also want to greet all participants, both online and offline, and thank you for joining the international event. Ladies and gentlemen, this international workshop reflects the concern of the Faculty of Law, Udayana University in supporting and acknowledging the importance of research strategy and outcome for improving law school ranking globally and nationally. For your information, every law school in Indonesia has to satisfy some indicators. We call it as indicator kinerja utama or key performance indicator. The indicator number 5 expressly states that the importance of research and its outcome to be applicable in society and gain international recognition. So this event can be a right momentum to discuss these issues, particularly because the two speakers can share their insight, knowledge, and strategy to improve the quality of the research as a means of increasing law school rankings. All distinguished participants, recently, Faculty of Law, Udayana University is preparing to the international accreditation. All law programs from bachelor, master, and doctoral will be assigned by FIBAA, which is your international oriented agency from quality assurance and quality development in higher education. One of the important assessment is the spirit of internationalization within this faculty. I'm personally glad as we just submitted our application for FIBAA accreditation last week. And now we are able to conduct international workshops to show our commitment in supporting the spirit of internationalization. Because I know Professor Andrew Michel is Associate Dean for Research in Monash Law School, I also hope that this international workshop can be the stepping stone of future collaboration and cooperation between Monash Law School and Udayana Law School. To conclude this remark, I declare that international workshop on the importance of research strategy and outcome for law school rankings is officially open. Thank you. Om Santi Santi Om.
Thank you for the opening remarks from the first Vice Dean. The next agenda is a photo session. Hereby, I would like to invite the first Vice Dean of Law Faculty Udayana University from Faculty of Law Udayana University, the head of Bachelor Program, the head of Master Program, the head of Notary Master Program, the Editor-in-Chief from Udayana Journal of Law and Culture, the speakers, the moderator, the head of the committee, and the representative from the participants to please come forward to have a photo session. Thank you. Also, to all of the online participants, we kindly ask you to turn on your cameras because we will be having an online photo session. To the committee concerned, please take the pictures. And due to the multiple slides, we will have two screenshots from two of the slides. The cue is on me. 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, by the end of the opening remarks by the first Vice Dean of Law Faculty Udayana University, the international workshop on the importance of research strategy and outcome for law school rankings is officially open. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin the event today, we will immediately hearing the main session from our amazing speakers. And before we begin, I would like to introduce you to our moderator, Mr. Imade Budi Arsika, SHLLM. He is a lecturer at the Faculty of Law, Udayana University, Bali. He studied law at the Faculty of Law in Brawijaya University, Indonesia, for his Bachelor of Law, and in the Faculty of Law Maastricht University in the Netherlands for Globalization and Law Master Program. He is interested in conducting research on public international laws, human rights, and legal aspects of tourism Currently, he serves as a managing editor of Udayana Journal of Law and Culture. Without any further ado, please welcome our moderator, Mr. Imade Budi Arsika SLLM. Time and place are yours.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I was assigned by the committee to facilitate the event today called as the International Workshop on the Importance of Strategy and Research for Law School Ranking. I guess a few minutes ago, both the Vice Dean for Academic Affairs and the Head of Committee have introduced the speakers. So we have two distinguished speakers here. Professor Andrew Mitchell, the Associate Dean of the Monash Law School, Australia, and Professor Ketut Supasti Darmawan from Udayana University, Faculty of Law. Test. Ladies and gentlemen, the issue of law school ranking is part of general concerns of all higher education in the world, because nowadays the trends is about how to elevate the ranks of universities as well as the faculty and study programs due to the assessment provided by several institutions. Whatsoever, we know that there is a competition among the law schools in every countries, and as what the head of committee today presented during the report. So for example, the Monash Law School is now ranked number 5 nationally in Australia. So it is a remarkable achievement for Monash Law School. A few days ago, perhaps academicians, I mean both lecturers and also students, we big law school in Indonesia was considered, included in the, if I'm not mistaken, the best 500 law school in the world. I guess all university leaders, including, of course, the Dean of Law Schools in Indonesia, now make an effort to do the best, to increase the capacity and also make an effort to strengthening the capacity of all human resources to elevate the rank of the law school. it is a trend. Yeah. Now, it is a good time for us to hear from Professor Andrew Mitchell. Yeah. Professor Andrew, yeah, as everybody has heard, he's now the Associate Dean for Research in the Monash Law School, Australia. Yeah. He studied law in Melbourne, University of Melbourne for Bachelor of Law and Bachelor of Commerce with the awarded with Honors. He continued his study for Master of Law in Harvard Law School, the United States of America, and take the PhD in Law in the University of Cambridge, United Kingdom. I guess it is a good time for us, yeah, to hear from him about how the, let's say, the leader in the School of Law in Monash, Australia, yeah, do a lot of work in maintaining as well as elevating their ranking. I guess one of the consequences of the ranking is, okay, let's say, if there is a grant, for example, yeah, the grant will be awarded, yeah. It can be based on the ranking of the university, for example. So I guess it is very important topic today, and we would like also to hear because he is editor at the reputable journal over the world, yeah. So we would like to hear the relevance of the research, yeah, to support the law school rank. Without further ado, I'd like to invite Professor Andrew Mitchell to deliver remarks, yeah, and also please kindly share your knowledge and experience around 25 minutes. Time is yours, please.
Selamat pagi. Vice Dean of Academic Affairs, distinguished faculty of Udayana University, organising committee, students and guests. It's a great honour for me to return to Udayana University and back to Indonesia and back to Bali. It's very nice to be here in person, to be able to renew and form new institutional and professional collaborations between Monash University and Udayana University, and also renew. Before I begin, I want to acknowledge the difficulty that so many of us have experienced with COVID-19 and how much problems it's created for both of our countries. And I trust and believe that we've now been through the worst of it. But I want to congratulate the university, the faculty and the students on their strength and resilience during this very difficult period. So in my presentation, I want to talk a little bit about research strategy in general, and then talk a little bit about rankings. And then during the discussion period, we can go and explore areas that are of more interest. And so recently when I joined Monash, I was developing a new strategy to try to increase the faculty's research capability, to strengthen its performance, and to develop its research culture, while also building on its existing achievements. And I think any research strategy needs to address a number of different areas by looking for new measures and new initiatives to boost research, and to highlight existing measures and initiatives and explain and understand how they'll contribute to the research strategy's objectives and interact with any proposed new measures. So the research strategy should try to improve the research performance of all faculty with a focus on improving the overall quality of of research that staff at the faculty undertake. Should try to inculcate a culture of high performance and excellence within the faculty, and should foster research-focused career development for faculty staff, as well as improve the staff members' knowledge and capabilities relating to research best practices. It should also try to attract, develop and retain high-quality researchers. And then lastly, it should also improve the faculty's ratings and rankings. Now, sometimes it's suggested that a faculty should just try to increase the total overall number of publications that it produces. But I believe that this misunderstands research ranking methodology and more generally the role of quantitative metrics as indicators of excellence. Instead, the focus, which is the focus of most proper evaluation processes, is on quality, not quantity. The evaluation processes tend to use one of two types of indicators depending on the particular discipline under evaluation. So law is part of the humanities and social sciences, and these disciplines are typically judged according to a peer review process. STEM disciplines, like the science, technology, engineering and mathematics, tend to be judged more on a citation analysis. So from a practical perspective, simply trying to require staff members to produce more overall outputs is likely to reduce in fewer high-quality outputs, given that the expectation is to produce more outputs in a shorter period of time. Now, the law discipline is amongst the disciplines that traditionally has produced the least collaborative scholarship. Unlike in the sciences, where it tends to be many people working together, co-authorship in law is relatively low. But within Australian law schools in particular, it has been increasing over the last 2 decades. And a review of co-authorship within Australian law schools reveals that some scholars there engage in what's called the role model scholarship, where senior scholars mentor and collaborate with more junior faculty members. Evidence shows that the best Australian law schools, in terms of their publications in high-quality Australian journals, have a higher number of co-authored articles. And so, as pointed out by Farrell and Smith in their work, 5 of the 6 law schools with the highest number of co-authored articles on a per capita basis were the 5 law schools to receive the top research ranking in Australia. And so what that suggests is that there's a positive relationship between co-authorship and quality adjusted research productivity, or that co-authored articles tend to get into better journals. There is also evidence in the field of economics that co-authorship is positively correlated with research productivity, the acceptance of papers in top journals and also citations. There are several in particular. So for example, Farrell and Smith note that it can have very positive effects on research productivity. It can facilitate the division of labour, increase the number of views, ideas and opinions that are available, therefore increasing the spread and the quality of between senior academics and more junior academics, enhance publication visibility and therefore the visibility of the faculty, and increase the intangible benefits that occur through collaborative research, such as career enjoyment and a sense of collegiality because you're working with others on a common project. And so my view is that law faculties should try to encourage collaboration between staff and reward it, because it's likely to be beneficial to the faculty in a number of ways. Most importantly and fundamentally, mutual and reciprocal collaboration is likely to foster a collegial and a collaborative culture that ensures that a faculty can consistently produce higher quality outputs. Of course, there are some disadvantages from collaboration. These include the need to make compromises, the risk of having inconsistent arguments being presented together, having disjointed or inconsistent style or prose, the increased costs of organisation and communication, a loss of a sense of ownership, and incompatibility with the doctrinal nature of much of Australian legal research. So my view is that these are risks and disadvantages that should be weighed against one another, together with an individual researcher's aspirations by each individual academic. And this should mean that a collaborative approach, while it's should be encouraged, should also be voluntary. And so the idea would be that collaboration is encouraged and that academics are recognised for collaborative work where appropriate. At the same time, it needs to still be the way that measures are adopted to ensure that staff are performing satisfactorily at an individual level as well. Now, interdisciplinary and cross-disciplinary collaboration should be highly valued by law faculties and tends to be highly valued by universities. It is a measure of excellence both internally within the university and externally for various ranking procedures. It's important to do interdisciplinary research because it helps ensure that the faculty's research has impact across a wide variety of areas, both within and outside academia. And so we should try to recognise this sort of interdisciplinary collaboration where appropriate. Now, beyond just interdisciplinary collaboration, there's also international collaboration. And this should be highly valued by the faculty and be one of the university's strategic plans. So when we look at the Times Higher Education World University Rankings, international collaboration constitutes 2.5% of the International Outlook Indicator, which is calculated according to the proportion of a university's total research journal publications that have at least one international co-author. So international collaboration, so for example between academics at the University of Udiana and academics in Australia, is important because, amongst other things, it tends to lead to higher quality outputs. It allows for a broader range of academic perspectives. It builds cross-institutional relationships, and it opens up new opportunities for academics. And again, the standards within each faculty should try to recognise this sort of international collaboration where appropriate. Now, collaboration with students, and particular higher degree students, is another way that the faculty can increase its research output and sometimes its income. This type of collaborative activity is mutually beneficial for the faculty, staff and its higher degree students. And I'll talk later about what it all means this collaboration. Now, there are a number of different ways in which you can look at administrative changes as well within a university to try to improve research performance. So one is in relation to teaching and administrative duties. So my university, Monash, has one of the highest student-to-staff ratios of any Australian law faculty. And there are a number of arguments that have been made that suggest that senior academics might exhibit lower research productivity than junior colleagues. And so relatively to senior staff workload, these include the fact that senior academics tend to inherit quite a range of administrative and leadership functions in an academic department, which can crowd out time for them to undertake research. It's been noted in the QS rankings methodology that measuring teacher-to-student ratios is one of the most effective proxy metrics for teaching quality because it assesses the extent to which institutions are able to provide students with meaningful access to lecturers and tutors, and recognises that a high number of faculty members per student will reduce the teaching burden on each individual academic. So altering the teaching and the administrative duties of staff members can significantly increase the capacity for high-quality research. Because these changes require consultations, across the faculty, they require quite a broad faculty approach. But here are a number of sort of measures that can be introduced. You can try to do the teaching more efficiently, so consolidate any pre-recorded lecture materials for units that are delivered through a split delivery model. Faculties can look at greater delegation of assessment marking tasks to sessional staff and try to reduce the marking expectations on academics, which can be very time-consuming. Can help keep a library of past assignments to aid in the preparation of course materials, and a library of reading guides to aid in the preparation of course materials as well. Also, to reduce the workload of some academic staff with leadership roles, it might be beneficial to try to distribute some of those academic responsibilities to other academic staff that don't have a leadership role. The costs of administrative workload burdens on academic staff in terms of their reduced research productivity need to be kept in mind. So if you expand the faculty's administrative staff, that can increase, again, academics' capability to produce high-quality research because they've got more support and less of their time is taken up on administrative duties. So expanding administrative support for academic staff can have the added benefit of contributing to attracting high-quality researchers to the faculty. There is also the question of staff supervision. So staff supervision is a key part of building research excellence within a faculty. And so supervision of academic staff is necessary or at least helpful to monitor and ensure that staff are meeting their research performance requirements, to monitor and encourage staff to meet their benchmarks and to track staff performance in relation to qualitative or descriptive indicators of research excellence, to ensure that staff members are pursuing, in good faith, research grants that are relevant to their area of expertise and suitable for their career level, and to actively encourage staff who need to undertake further study, sometimes for accreditation purposes, and to help assist and guide staff along their preferred career trajectory. And so it's very important for research performance that staff that know how to do research well mentor and help develop junior staff within the faculty to increase their performance and their aspirations. So there can be a formal supervision process within the university and the faculty, but the faculty can also have a look at having informal mentor programs as well. So at Monash, there is a voluntary program for mentors and mentees that particularly focuses on supporting early career researchers. So under that program, it matches early career researchers that are willing to participate with professors in the faculty. And the program allows these early career researchers in the faculty to benefit from the experience of the more senior academics in trying to navigate their way through academia, publishing, research and teaching. And this mentoring program is entirely voluntary, and it's meant to transpire outside the formal hierarchies of the faculty. So again, this is a way of contributing to the faculty's excellence culture. Now, I'm going to move now to briefly discuss rankings. And I'm happy, obviously with research strategy, there's so many different aspects of it. Maybe we can talk about other aspects during the discussion later on. But when we turn to rankings now, there are many different ranking systems. So, for example, there's the Times Higher Education, the THE or Times World University Rankings, or WUR. There's the QS WUR and QSWR by subject rankings, the Corneli-Simmons system. And there's also the Shanghai rankings of world universities, the ARWU, and the Global Ranking of Academic Subjects, or GRAS. Now, why are rankings important? Well, they're important for various reasons. The rankings have been described as the go-to resource for students, for parents, for researchers, for potential employees, for funders, as well as for other bodies that are seeking an objective insight into a university's performance and ability. Ranking performance can also influence government measures that are trying to assess research excellence. And so higher rankings can increase a law faculty's reputation, which has a number of flow-on effects. And so if you have a high-ranking score, it means that the law school is more likely to attract better undergraduate students, particularly international students, higher quality postgraduate students, more world-class academics, and funding from private and public sources. Now, there's evidence that there's different planning and strategies that a university can undertake to try to improve its rankings. But obviously there are limitations as well. And so there are many different ranking systems, and they each have their own methodologies, and their methodologies can change over time. I don't think that law faculties should chase rankings just for their own sake. Instead, they should be aware of the methodologies behind these rankings and where the faculty can do something that it thinks is sensible independently of the rankings, but if that also has a benefit for rankings, then that's worth doing. So rankings are not a perfect indication of how wonderful or important a law faculty is, but they do sometimes reveal something and can be influential. So where there is a strategy option to do something that is sensible for its own sake, that will also have a benefit on rankings, then that's a good option to pursue. So one way in which these rankings are influenced is by academic reputation surveys, where the people running these ranking systems send out surveys to scholars to ask them for their views. So the QS Academic Reputation Survey results are based on domestic and also international votes. Now, the international votes are worth 67%, while the domestic votes are only worth 33%. Therefore, if Udayana Law School wanted to increase its rankings, it should try to target international scholars in its nominations for the QS Academic Survey. Another option is to try to decrease the student to staff ratio by increasing the academic number of faculty. And so there are obviously two ways. The student to staff ratio has an impact on the rankings, and there are two ways to increase it. One is to increase the staff cohort, so to hire more faculty, or you could decrease the number of student enrolments, obviously. Now, if you increase the staff numbers, then it has a number of benefits. It tends to lead to increased research productivity, decreased workload, and more time, therefore, for high quality research by staff. So increasing the staff cohort offers an opportunity to diversify also the existing cohort of faculty at Udayana by increasing the proportion, say, of international staff. And it's therefore the law faculty's international outlook score. Another sensible thing to do is to target journals that are indexed in the Scopus database. So the field-weighted citation index, research productivity and international collaboration indicators under the Times survey, and the citations and the H-index indicators under the QS survey are a company called Scopus. Now, citation-based metrics are based on publications that are indexed by the Scopus database. And a search of the law Scopus index journals indicates that there's 942 results, meaning that there's a significant number of law sources. And so academics, where possible, should try to publish in journals that are indexed on Scopus. Then it's very important that Udayana academics ensure that their publication data is accurately and completely captured in the Scopus database. So Elsevier recommends that institutions evaluate all data sources available, the institutional data, the bibliometric data and the survey data, to ensure that there's accurate data and in turn an accurate rank. And so sometimes the research office of the university can help the law faculty ensure that its output is being accurately captured by the Scopus database, because even if it's been published, if it's not captured in the database, it won't flow through to the rankings. And then the final thing that can be done when I'm talking about international collaboration is to make sure that the staff place their address in the author information of an article or output. So the indicator under the GRAS system is based on the number of publications that the faculty has with an international partner. So there needs to be an international address in the author information. So staff, when they're working with an international collaborator, should ensure that their collaborators put their address within the author information in the, within each article to ensure that these articles are appropriately. Sorry, but maybe we can have more, speak more when we come to the questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Andrew Mitchell, for the very interesting presentations. Well, I'd like to quote your previous statement. Ranking is not a perfect indicator of the faculty profile, but yeah, at least it gives an overview about the situations of the faculty. A few minutes ago, you mentioned about the informal voluntary mentoring program, right? Professor, you mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, informal voluntary mentoring program of research in your law faculty. I just remember Professor Windya and Ibu Desa Dewi Kasih. They were the head and secretary of, we call that the board for publication and documentations. It was, if I'm not mistaken, in 2006, we were young lecturers and we were invited to the second floor of the building B. So we were mentoring informally. I guess Ibu Suksma still remember, and Ibu Dika and Ibu Ayu at that time, yeah? So actually I miss that situation. So please give big applause to Professor Windya and Ibu Dewi Kasih. So who knows, now at this faculty we will continue the tradition that we have ever established at that time, but now I guess due to the global pandemic issues, yeah, the offline meeting sometimes is not easy to organize. But thanks for that, remembering us and inspiring us again to do that. And you also mentioned about the co-authorship between the senior and junior academics. I guess Professor Supasti has done that, yeah. Always encourage us as the younger lecturer, younger researchers to do that. So thank you very much. We will. I do believe you will get a lot of questions by the participants, both online and offline here. So for those who attend the workshop here, as well as those who join the workshop by WebEx, so please, if you would like to write questions, please do that on your chat box. Now I'd like to continue the workshops by inviting the second speakers. So I guess this is one of the most famous professor in Udayana University, Professor Niketut Supasti Darmawan, often called as Professor Supasti. Yeah. He studied law in Udayana University for the Bachelor of Law and continuing Master and Doctoral of Law in Diponegoro University Semarang, and also a Master Program of Globalizations and Law at a Faculty of Law Maastricht University, the Netherlands. With regards to the international collaborations, yeah, he experienced managing the international collaboration project, for example, with the Dutch institutions under the NPT NUFIC projects, as well as the project for the clinical legal educations with the partners, I guess, all from Australia, from the US, from Czech Republic, Turkey, etc. She is now also still, yeah, Mr. Parikasit mentions she's one of the founding mother of an international journal here. So she's now the chief editor of Udayana Law Master Journal. without further ado, I'd like to invite Professor Supasti to deliver your presentations. Please.
Thank you very much, Pak Budi, the moderator, lovely moderator. First of all, I would like to say Om Swastiastu, Selamat pagi, salam. I would like to thank first for the Dean and then also for the Vice Dean for academic to invite me. It's a great honor for me to present here in a forum, in one forum with the Professor Andrew. It's really a great honor. And then also I would like to thank and then Excellency, the head of doctorate program, doctorate magister for notary, and then of course my guru, Prof. India. Okay, thank you very much. So you always come. Okay, and then for the committee, and also lovely team. From the first dimension, I'm a mother of journal. I'm the corporate international. So thank you very much. I'm here, I stand here, I sit here because of you behind me. You are the lovely children, you are behind my screen. And then, one thing make the mother happy, if the children can have advanced achievement than the mother. So here, Pak Sigit, Pak Budi, Pak Yuda, Bu Ayu, and the other our college, they have nice and excellent publication in more an international journal with the ID Scopus. Applause for them. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I would directly go to my presentation. Professor Andrew emphasized about the research, and then myself would like just in general overview about publishing research result for law school ranking, how and where. So how and where. So in our campus we call it the Faculty of Law, but in the side of other something in Australia or America, they may say law school, something like that. So it is really similar with publishing research result for the Faculty of Law, how and where. Okay, the next. So in my introduction, let me say that I would like to start my presentation regarding the publication. I would say in my point of view, a good research or excellent result will bring more opportunity to publish in national and international journal reputation. Therefore, to achieve that achievement, the more research publication from the campus academic community, or in my point, the member of campus, the more opportunity to elevate the law school ranking. So in this case, I would like to make a bit narrow. Preparing and conducting and good research is very important, as Professor Andrew mentioned. Some of elements that we need international collaboration. So this is very important to strengthen the law school ranking. And then the next question for us is how to do excellent and good research. At least for based on our experience, first focusing on specific research topic that relevant to the competence of the researchers. So may I borrow the concept of my guru, Professor Windia. In Bahasa, he always mentioned everywhere, we have a forum, something like that, he mentioned, do something, elah, aluh, enggal. Elah means that is here. Allah also mean a bit similar Asia. Asia for us because that's our competence. Don't try to do other people competent. Something from India, he expert in adat law, so he focus on adat law. For example, I myself, I focus on intellectual property. Don't try go to criminal law, something like that. That's, thank you, that's strategic. I learned from my guru. And then, Allah enggak. And then make it, we can go faster. Why faster? Because of we using the legal research, ethic, step by step, make our step of research level of academic. Yes. Don't breaching the legal, the ethic of research ethic. That's another important. Of course, developing, narrowing and developing, make clear our research question, and then research methodology must match with them. So at least for bringing the excellent and good research. Okay, next. So to understand the need for law school ranking, I try to make narrow. In the, for example, the Faculty of Law in Indonesia, and then I make narrow again in our faculty, Faculty of Law Udayana University. Yeah. Just try to make simple, narrow for the first time. First, the need for publication for law school academic community is actually in line with the need of law school ranking. This is in line. For that, can be argued that increasing the publication of research faculty from the law school member, such as Udayana University, will bring an increased impact on the ranking of the faculty Udayana University. Therefore, the first step, we should increase the member, the research of our members should increase. Of course, with something strategic that Prof. Indru mentioned. Try to increase our academic standard, international academic standard, something like that. And that we can do for increase our Faculty of Law ranking. Okay, just now assuming we already have that research, and then we have excellent result, we have a good result, and then where to publish the research of result? For the need of our academic member, or we call it in bahasa Sivitas Academica, Fakultas Hukum Universitas Udayana, this consists of the lecturer, the student, both the S3, doctorate, master degree, and also bachelor. Where to publish the result of research? To match with the need of the law school ranking. So, of course, we try to see first the regulation from the Directorate General Higher Education in Indonesia. For example, operation guideline for assessment of credit score for lecturer promotion in 2019 and other regulation related to the requirement of publication for the doctorate degree, for master degree, and other post-scholar. So finally, we have 3 points. First, we should go to the reputable international journal. The regulation mentioned that the dictee recognized the international reputation journal is one of them, Scopus, and then the other Web of Science. So if our level need to, for example, doctorate degree or the academic member would like to go to the professor, for example, so we should go to this one because the regulation require that we should have that publication. And then the third one is international journal. International journal, what we call it, beside the number 1. Okay. And then the second one. The third one is national journal with indexed in SINTA. SINTA means that Science and Technology Index. In Indonesia, we have SINTA 1 until SINTA 6. SINTA 1 is the highest one, and then SINTA 6 is the lower index. Okay, Dandi, continue. So, clear, yes. International journal, reputation, Scopus and Web of Science, and then go to international journal beside category first, the first category, and then the third one is go to national journal SINTA 1 until 6. Yeah. Whether national journal also can increase our level? Yes. I call it yes. Not only international, because our regulation also require about that category. And then, how do we publish the result of the research in the international journal? Okay, so I based on my experience, for example, I only have experience in Scopus, in the journal. In my opinion, so for the beginner, we may go to the lower index first of Scopus, which is most possible to be achieved. Ella, halo, yeah. If the requirement doesn't mention otherwise, for example, if they require about Q1 or Q2 or Q3, so we can try go to the Q4. This the lowest level is Q4 Scopus, and then after that, read carefully whether our study is included in the focus and scope of the journal. Okay, whether that journal also the scope is about the law, because rather than we already published and then the Directorate General Higher Education in Indonesia doesn't accept, reject our article because it's not in the focus of the law, but something like engineering or something like that. This is my experience. So I just mentioned my experience because in the past, I only go around the journal, just find the Scopus, and then after that, so rejected. Not only rejected by the journal international, but also rejected by our institution. Yeah, so that why make sure focus to read about the focus and scope of the journal, and then really carefully read the outer guideline of the journal and fulfilling the technical and substance requirement. This is very important. We can learn through several, and then learn through several articles has been published in the journal to understand the style of writing, for example. We should also pay attention about the peer review process. Whether the journal is very faster, or they provide a good and excellent peer review process. We choose the good and excellent peer review process, although it will take a long time duration. Whether the duration is too fast or reasonable, just criticize about that. And then make sure that we go to journal that conduct peer review process, as already I mentioned. Yeah, and then the technical I mentioned before, the guidelines sometimes usually consist of two parts: technical requirement and substance. The technical requirement, why important? The technical important must be made by the author because, for example, the journal manager asks for the maximum of 15 words for article title, just an example. Some even ask only 10 words for the title. Therefore, the author must be complete with the requirement. Why something like that? Because if at the first, when the editor read, this is 20 words, I will reject. We will reject. Pak Budi maybe very often do something like that. Or me, myself. Why because for the first time, the author doesn't fulfill our requirement. Okay, the technical word don't ignore about the technical requirement. This is very important. And then another thing that's the abstract, for example. Some journal ask for the author about maximum 25 words or even around 100. Yes, we should comply with that. And then another important thing also, write in the template journal that already provided by the journal. Because this is make the management easier to elaborate the article, something like that. For example, another requirement, using the Harvard style model with Mendeley system, something like that. So we should try to learn about Mendeley, about Harvard, and something like that. Just an example here, I mentioned one of our article. So why I saw this article, not I don't want to show myself, but just also to respect, to reminding my guru, another guru from academic international, Professor Grad. My great, what we call it, Pak Budi, my deep condolence for him, because just last week he passed away. I sit here, I can speak with you or also present with my English is not really like wherever he now, yeah, I pray for him. Rest in peace, Prof. Grad. Okay, thank you for your academic atmosphere, international academic atmosphere. You always hug us when we face difficulty when we in Netherlands. Thank you for everything that you did with us. Okay. He support me. He emphasized me. Supasti, you should write only 10 words for the title. Don't more than that. It's very difficult, Professor. No, you must do that because this is requirement, something like that. Yeah. Okay, that's my experience. Okay, Dandi, substance tadi ini sebut Indonesia. Before we mentioned about technical requirement, now we go to substance requirement. Why is important? The article submitted to the journal show the real pun between the title and the abstract background and the legal issue, legal problem, legal method, discussion and analysis, and also, of course, conclusion. So, after that, we try to write in clear and specific background of the study in clear legal issue. If we write in clear background and legal issue and related one at other, so it is more chance for us, for our article to be accepted, because the reader will understand what you mention, what you need to communicate with the reader, something like that. It is in my point. And then, of course, we should then continue by comprehensive discussion and analysis supported by relevant legal document, whether local, national, and international. Sometimes, Professor, in our community, people prepare about a local document, what we call it, Komadat, for example. Can we publish here as an international publication? Yes, why not? Because in the world we have also, they have customary law. So why don't we compare about that? And then we can go also to the human right. For example, like our student in the doctorate degree bring the student the research about a child, the protection of child when the parent divorce in patrilineal system. In Bali, we have patrilineal system. How the protection of the children. So we can also start about the human right, about every person, every people has human right, so, including the children that result of divorce of their parent, yeah, something like that. So I just encourage them or try to combine your to the lot you set legal document. So I think this is make your research will become fulfill the international academic atmosphere, something like that. Okay, continue, Dandi. Okay, another form of the result publication. Before I mentioned about when we try to publish in the form of journal, but not only journal, we can also publish in the form of book. So the book as a medium to publish research is one of the important sources or to increase the ranking of the law faculty. Just an example here, I don't know the apa namanya gambar, the drawing is clear enough or not. In 2012, we have one book that published internationally as a result of international cooperation research. So published the title is in sustainable tourism and law. The publisher is 11 International, and now the book spread out on Amazon. So it is also one of our, ya, apa namanya Pak Budi, kebanggaan, one of our proud about that. So behind of this book also Pak Budi or our colleagues. In the past we have something like that. So we hope that now Professor Andrew come here and then we can also collaborate in international research or international publication. Yeah, that's my hope. Yes, to strengthen our quality of academic atmosphere. Thank you very much, Prof. Andrew. Okay, Dandi, continue. This is sustainable tourism and law. So the student may try to search in Amazon. You can find, and then this book, even by now, berapa ini Pak Budi? 102 euro or dollar? Dollar ya, ini ya, something like that. Okay, this is also make us proud. This is one of our legacy. Can we say something like that, Pak Budi? Yeah. Pak Budi, also Pak Parikesit, yeah. Why not we continue the atmosphere, something like that? This is your era, this is your age, Pak Yuda, Pak Parikesit, Pak Budi, and our colleagues. Then, as I mentioned before, yeah, the first I saw about the international publication in the form of book, and then the second now I show you about the international journal that where Pak Parikesit already published in one of the ASEAN Journal of International Law. This is also make me proud because the mother will very happy if the children can have achievement. Advanced achievement than the mother. So, my respect for Pak Parikesit, Pak Budi, Pak Yuda, Bu Ayu, and other colleagues that already have a nice reputation journal, or what we call it, a nice itu yang baik, yang bagus, reputasi yang bagus, a good reputation. Not only just a purpose, but good reputation. So, Q2, Q second. Just to remind us, in 2008 and 2019 we have the photo, something like that. So we went to around Europe. We study in Maastricht University. We go to Belgium. We do go to Paris or even in WTO or Geneva with the Professor Pandan Bos or something like that. So why we now? What we call it? Now we continue. That's a nice atmosphere about that. Yeah, Ibu, adik dua, adik satu, bapak koprodi. So this is my hope. My guru, Prof. Windia, always support me to do. Supasti, dadi menyeledet tapi dia merenang. In bahasa Pak Budi, in English, dadi nyeledet. You may see other people, but don't confuse about that. Stay in your major. Make it your stronger. Thank you very much. Okay. Just the end. Matur sukseme sekian. Kirang rangkungnya. Mohon maaf niki duenang sareng sami. Sukseme Pak Budi.
Thank you very much, Professor Supasti, for interesting presentations. Yeah, I guess this is the challenge for all of us. Yeah, the academics especially, as well as the students at all level. I guess we are here having Professor Sudarma Sumadi, the coordinator for the PhD program here. Yeah, and also we have also some other coordinators program here. Publication is always a challenge. Yeah, not only journal, but there are some means. For example, the book chapter, as mentioned by Professor Supasti, or maybe textbook, monograph, whatsoever. Professor Supasti emphasized the three models of journals that usually submitted by our academics. Yeah, for example, the number one is the what's so-called the reputable journals. Yeah, international reputable journals, and then second one is international journal, and last one is the national journal that is we call accredited, yeah, or standardized by our government. Everyone, academics, also for students, because here, Professor Mitchell, students who would like to graduating from this law faculty must have publications, yeah, that is officially published, yeah, before besides their exam, besides final exam for the master thesis, bachelor thesis, or the dissertations. So the leaders of this faculty always encourage, not only encourage, but also sometimes force them at the very beginning, yeah, starting their education. So please try to find a journal and start writing and check the methodology, because it is the formal requirements to graduating from this law faculty. So again, publications is a challenge, but also it is an opportunity to increase our law school ranking. Yeah. So I guess you have heard that Professor Supasti asking kindly about who knows you would like to channeling, and maybe would like to have a good collaboration, maybe in, for example, in the book chapter, yeah. And we have here Ibu Suksma, the head of cooperations board at this faculty, yeah. Because maybe at the end of this program we can have informal talks, yeah, about how to let's say initiate some cooperations in the field of research, publication, and some institutional programs. Thank you, professors. Anyway. So, ladies and gentlemen, here I just checked at the chat box on the WebEx. There is no questions yet, but I do believe the participants here who attend the workshops at this aula have prepared questions to the two speakers. Yeah, we have time, yeah, for a lot of questions or maybe remarks, yeah, by the participants. So now I'd like to invite the two questions from the floor. I mean, from the offline participants first. Who gonna start? Please raise your hand. Yeah, we have a lady, number one, and one more. Oh, also a lady in what? Ibu Dia. Okay, thank you very much. First up, please kindly introduce yourself.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Pak Mr.
Thank
Budi. My name is Putugalo Saputigandi.
I am from the 21st.
Excuse me, your name is?
Putu Galuh Satiti Gandhi.
Putu.
Yes.
Thank you.
You can call me Galuh. Now I want to ask Mr. Professor Andrew. You are from the Monash Law School, and what do you think is the hardest obstacle that you as a college, as a law school, have to establish your research strategy and the rankings that you have now? Do you understand what my question is? Can you understand?
Could you please to repeat and make it loud, please?
Okay. What is the hardest obstacle of establishing the research strategy in the Monash Law School? Thank you.
Okay, what is the hardest obstacle? Yeah, and thank you very much. Yeah, so your questions is addressed to Professor Mitchell. Thank you, Putu. And now, Ibu Cok Diah, please.
Thank you very much for Pak Budi, and thank you very much for Prof. Michelle and Prof. Supasti. I would like to ask about journal culture in Monash Law School. How about journal culture there? And I want to ask about the characteristic when the students want to research to know. Is there any difference? Like distinguish or differences between in any law schools in Asia or Australia? Thank you very much.
Can you get one? Ibu Cok Diah, please kindly repeat your question.
Okay, I would like to ask about journal culture in Monash Law University.
Culture in journals,
Yeah.
in culture in publications, please.
And second question is about the characteristic in making research to make journal.
The characteristic.
The characteristics, yes. Is there any differences or distinguish between in Asia or Australia? Thank you very much.
Oh, characteristic of the maybe methodology of research, something
Yes.
like that. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have two questions to Professors Mitchell, so I will give the time to you, Professors.
Thank you very much for the questions. And so the first one, I think, was what is the hardest aspect of the research strategy? I think it's all hard in some ways. So seeing all of the different connections and the different things that impact on research performance is difficult and complicated. But the hardest thing perhaps in implementing the research strategy, I think, is encouraging people to aim higher and to try to think about doing things differently than how they've been doing it in the past. I think all of us are comfortable with what we've already done, and sometimes it can be a challenge to think about a new way of doing things and to be more ambitious and to aim for more prestigious journals. I think sometimes people are shy and think that their work is not as good as it is and don't sometimes try for the harder journals. The second question, the first part of it was to do with the journal culture. Okay. So we do try to encourage publications in journals. As far as research output, we recognise that it's better to publish, say, in a journal article normally than a book chapter, because the book chapters sometimes take a very long time to be published. and book chapters are not read as much as journal articles. So in most circumstances, it's better publishing in a journal than in a book chapter. You'll get more citations and it will be read more. And with a good journal, it goes through a proper peer review process as well, where sometimes with a book chapter, there can be a suspicion that, oh, your friend is the editor of the book and will just say, give me your work, and doesn't properly check it or check the quality. But with a journal, you know, it has to go through a proper process to check that the quality is okay. In Monash, we have a list of quality journals, and so to have your research recognised every year for performance, it needs to be on that quality list. And yes, and we have a big list of journals that's quality, and then we have some at the very top that are elite journals. So we try to encourage people to publish more in the elite journals, but definitely somewhere on the quality list. And then as far as the different methodology in journals between Australia and Asia, I don't think that there is necessarily a huge difference. I mean, sometimes there's different legal traditions, common law systems, civil law systems, but I think much of the methodology is similar. Maybe more of a trend towards sort of legal theory a little bit in United States compared to Australia, and maybe that's coming into Australia a bit more now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Michels, for your response to the two questions. I guess we have questions now on the chat box from Ms. Putri Triari. Okay, I'd like to read the questions. This is from the online participants. So, greetings everyone. My name is Putri Triari. During the sessions, Professor Andrew D. Mitchell emphasized the relationships between junior and senior researchers. My questions to both speakers, so not only to Professor Supasti as well, is how do we encourage the younger generations to be interested in conducting research in order to support the law school ranking? Bearing in mind that not everyone might have a similar interest in conducting research. Thank you. Regards, Putri.
So thank you.
Yes, please.
Jim?
Yes.
So thank you very much for the question. I think that universities should tend now to only hire academics that are interested in research. And if the academic wants to be promoted in their career, then they need to do research. And I think thinking that there is a complete difference between teaching and research is incorrect, because ideally the teaching that you're doing should be informed by the research that you're doing. And so the new latest thinking that you are developing in your research should flow into your teaching, and you bring that into the classroom to benefit your students. So I think that junior academics should do it because it's good for their own career. If they're going to advance and be promoted, they must do research, and to also recognise that it's important for their teaching, because they should be bringing their own fresh thinking into their teaching from the results of their research, and also because they are part of a team for the faculty, and everyone needs to contribute to the research effort and lifting the reputation of the law faculty and the university.
Thank you very much, Professor. now we will have a Professor Supasti. Professor, would you also kindly, with regard to these questions, kindly share your experience because you won some grants for research scheme, for example, inventions, unggulan Udayana, because this question is about how do we encourage the younger generations to be interested in conducting research in order to support the law school ranking. Yeah, please, Professor.
Thank you very much, Pak Budi, and also Putri that asked the question about how to encourage the younger academic members or lecturer to do research. And my point is we already have the rule in our faculty level or in university level. For example, they provide several scheme of research. One of them is for the beginner. So in this scheme research for beginner, so the younger can work together, collaborate with the senior. The senior as the head of the researcher, and then the junior as a member. This is one of the way to encourage them. And then we also must mention about the role of every member and also the head of the researcher. The head of researcher, for example, provide and encourage and support the member to work in the part of, for example, developing questionnaire or something like that, and then also to collect the material, legal material. This is also the way for the junior to improve their ability and also quality to do research. That's only one way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Spasti and Professor Mitchell, for your response. I guess we have still questions. Yeah. Now I'd like to invite more questions from these offline participants who attend the class. Yes, we have one student. Okay, please.
Hello everyone, my name is Abhimanyu Satriarso and I want to ask question for Professor Supasti. Okay, my question is there any requirements in order to for students to apply for Scopus Journal? Is there any special requirement, Professor? And thank you.
Yeah, specific. And perhaps, yeah, Pak Yuda, please. Mr. Yuda Dananjaya.
First of all, I would like to say thank you so much to both speaker for your great presentation, because I got a lot of valuable information by your presentation. My name is DJ. DJ is an abbreviation of Dananjaya, so easy to call DJ. So to make it fair, I would like to ask one question to Professor Andrew and also one question to Professor Spasti. So my first question I will address to Professor Andrew. I heard by your presentation that research collaboration within universities is very important. I think the problem of many universities in Indonesia to conduct research collaboration because they don't have cooperation with other university, because it will make hard to meet, hard to talk, also to discuss what they are going to do with other researcher. For example, like call rejection, unread email, it always happen. So will you give us any strategies how to solve it, especially when we don't have any collaboration yet? And my second question I address to Professor Spasti. What must be prepared? Sorry, because Professor Supasti always say that Professor Winyo is my Mahaguru, and I would like to say that you are also my Mahaguru. So my question is, what must be prepared if we want to make an article that we want to submit in international accredited journal? It is also about how the strategy to make a manuscript for international qualified journal. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. DJ Dananjaya. Thank you very much. Yeah, I guess the question's quite clear. Who would like to start? Okay, please, Professor.
Thank you very much for your question, which was the first part directed to me, which was how do you build international research collaborations? And it can be difficult, particularly to begin with. So some of the faculty have studied abroad, and certainly that's one build friendships and an international network overseas, and then they can use that to, once they have that relationship, to stay in contact, and that can lead to research opportunities. Another way is to participate in international conferences. Again, this has been hard to do in person because of COVID, but in some ways it's become easier because we can do more things online now. And the hard thing is that sometimes those relationships are built not during the formal part of the conference, but the informal part, where you're drinking tea or coffee and you get to talk to people one-on-one. So as much as possible, I would encourage people, particularly when you're trying to build that network, to participate in international conferences. Even if you're not presenting, to be asking questions that will get you noticed, or to speak to the people at the conference informally about the research that you're conducting and the interest that you have in working internationally. Sometimes it's also worth directly, another way is to bring the international people here, to invite people to international, to events that you're holding at the law school in Bali, and build international networks that way. The other thing is to look at people that are working on similar issues internationally, and then writing to them, indicating that you're aware of the work that they do, and suggesting, proposing that you'd be interested in some research collaboration with them. It might be a collaborative piece or a comparative piece that maybe looks at where you will look at the issue from an Indonesian perspective, and they will look at the same issue from the perspective of their jurisdiction, and looking at what lessons there are perhaps from the two different jurisdictions for a particular legal problem. So there's no easy solutions in relation to it, but one thing is to look out for opportunities that arise. So sometimes there are international funding opportunities as well, and always put your hand up for those opportunities. Join in, if there are already members of your faculty that are working on projects that have an international aspect, ask whether you can be part of that team and contribute, because you gain experience, you can start building up international connections as well, and then try to participate in international conferences and events, and think about which potential collaborators you might wish to invite to Udayana University to maybe give a presentation or participate in some event. And then socially, you can get to know them better and hopefully build a stronger relationship. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mitchell. Now, Professor Supasti, please. I guess you got two questions from Mr. Abimanyu and Pak Yuda.
Yeah, and then Pak Yuda. Chidi.
Pak DJ. Pak Pak DJ.
DJ, okay. Thank you, Pak Budi. First, I would like to ask a question from the student, yeah. Whether we have several requirement for the student to write journal. Yes, we have for the undergraduate student who would like to finish their graduation or a bachelor. Our academic guideline require the student at least has one publication in national journal. It means that we can accept both in only national journal or either in SINTA. For example, SINTA 6, or if possible go to the highest rank of SINTA. For example, SINTA 4, 5, something like that. It's clear, yeah? Yes, for the undergraduate. And then for the master degree, the requirement is go to the SINTA indexed. It means that they come, they possible from the SINTA 6 until 1. However, if the student would like to pass in the cum laude degree, for example, our requirement is in SINTA 2 to melampaui to the standard, because the standard only in SINTA, but our faculty would like to higher achievement or something like that. So must have publication in SINTA 2. And then for the doctorate degree, go to the international journal. Moreover, also go to the Scopus indexed, something like that. Yeah, and then how to do that? Yeah, such I mentioned before, we prepare, do the good research, and then do the good article. And then for the DJ, because I just so we have a new members here, DJ, Danan Jaya. Yes, this is one of our favorite and famous also lecturer at the Faculty of Law. Applause for him. Yeah, he just graduated from Yamaguchi. Yeah, it's correct. Yeah, Yamaguchi. So thank you very much for your effort during in Japan. Okay. Pak DJ, because you asked how my strategy to write article in international journal, for example, just I would like to share the more, this is my word, the more the journal rejected my article, the more we develop, the more we learn. Yeah. So until now, some of them rejected my article. Then my strategy, don't give up. So don't give up. Sometimes I contacted Pak Parikesit, or very often Pak Budi. Pak Budi, please help me to make it my language can accept wider community scope, international standard, or something like that. They are younger than me, but they are more than me in the yeah. Pak Yuda also, something like that. So I learn from the younger, from the senior, if they have qualified about that. That's my strategy. Not only my guru is from India or from grad, but also the younger is also my guru. Much for your always supported me. You are people behind my screen. Thank you. And then the second one, I agree, and I do also like Professor Andrew mentioned. Just keep our nets working. For example, when I have a publication in what do you call it, Hasanuddin. So after I finish write, I send to Ingrid. Ingrid, please read my article. So Ingrid give me more correction, more criticism about Supposedly you should do this one. You must understand that the reader is international people, not only okay. Don't give up, something like that. That's the way. And then always write in our competent. That's maybe a bit strategy. There are a lot of strategy, but it says try make checklist. I always ask also the student. We work together, present, and then hearing also not only people as level as us, but also the lower level, whether they understand what we write. If they understand, it's okay. And then go to the similar level, and then go to the higher level. That's also another strategy. Thank you. Pak CT.
Thank you very much, Professor Spasti and Professor Mitchell. Ya, Pak DJ Dananjaya. Professor Andrew Dananjaya is the other name of Arjuna or Partha that is well recognized of the Mahabharata epic. Yeah, the very bright, the very handsome and inspired heroes. So that's the meaning of Dananjaya. Okay. I'm afraid you will give me a cup of coffee after this. No, just kidding. Yeah. So, Ibu Dike maybe would like to ask something, but I will let you give a questions after the questions that we get from online participants. So, kindly allow me to read the questions by participants that is delivered online. So, good morning everyone. My name is Gusti Ayu Clarissa Mahadewi. Clarissa Mahadewi, are you now, sorry, can we get your, video? Do you open your video? If yes, maybe you would like to directly deliver your questions? Yes, I guess you are Clarissa using the, sorry. Clarissa, you use the red dress, I guess, right? So if you would like to raise questions directly, please, I give you a chance. Hello, Clarissa, can you hear my voice? Okay, if not, I would like, I will read your question. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Gusti Agung Ayu Clarissa Mahadewi. So, in advance, Professor Andrew already mentions us about international collaborations that could help school rankings. My question is, how could we do an international collaborations as a student to help the school rankings and also especially for our reputations as a students? I asked this order, I felt there is a big gap to do an international collaborations. Thank you. Please, Professor Mitchell.
Well, thank you very much for the question. So again, there are a number of conferences that are aimed just at students or have particular sections where only students can speak, which is to create opportunities for you as a student to get experience speaking at an international conference. So you should always look out for those. Another opportunity is sometimes there are international mooting competitions or international competitions for law students. Sometimes that might involve competing nationally with the top teams going from Indonesia to compete in a regional round or an international round. So have a think about what student competitions exist and whether as a student you want to establish a team to represent Udiana in those competitions. Another thing is to be, to write, I mean, it's obviously easier to be to get work internationally if your work has an international aspect to it. So, like was said, you should concentrate on your area, but sometimes think about, is there a way of talking about what you're doing that has relevance beyond Indonesia, that has international relevance? It might be that you're using Indonesia as a case study, but the title of the article is internationally appealing because it's focused on an international issue. So you say, my research paper is on deforestation, for example, okay? And I'm going to use Indonesia as a case study for the proper way to manage this particular problem. And so then you have a way, your article is more likely to be published in an international journal than if you had just saying, my article is about working on logging in Indonesia, because then someone who's looking at it thinks, well, this is only relevant to Indonesia, not relevant to other countries. So sometimes you can be creative and frame your article in a broader way. So they would be my main suggestions for students. Student conferences, international competitions, sometimes the law societies. So there are groups of law students that they can form relationships with different law schools, both nationally and internationally, and also again publications, and think about whether they can put an international aspect into how you frame your publication. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Professor Mitchell. Yeah, I guess we still have time. Now, I'd like to invite the participants here again. Yeah. We have Ibu Sagung Putri Purwani, the head of research. Yeah. Any question perhaps, Ibu Sagung? Yeah. Please.
Terima kasih Budi. Thank you very much to the time. Sepertinya saya kehilangan materi cukup jauh karena saya baru sampai.
Okay.
Mungkin lebih ke apa person to person.
Please. Yeah.
Thank you Budi.
Yeah, thank you. So Professor, since the Ibu Sagung Purwani is the head unit for the research and community service at this faculty. So I guess the three head of units are here. Also Ibu, besides Ibu Suksma, is also Bu Mas, yeah, the head of the teaching and the quality assurance here. So complete here today, attending the workshop. Ibu perhaps would like to say something? No, okay, not yet. Okay. So I'd like to invite the other participants. Any more inquiries or questions to be addressed to the speakers? If not, I would like to just continue with the what we've discussed previously. So okay, I'm quite interested in what you mentioned about the QS ranks, yeah, because QS ranks also used in Indonesia and quite famous. So every year we will check the QS rank for the Udayana University, for example. My questions, I guess, because we have here the Vice Dean here. Do you have, let's say, annual meeting, or let's say every semester, a meeting in the, let's say, the faculty or at the university level, a meeting that focus on how to maintain and increasing your university or the faculty level of the QS? So this is more or less questions about the institutional issues, yeah, how the leaders behind the university and faculty make an effort to, with regards to this ranking, please?
Thank you very much for the question. So I think it is definitely a focus at the university level, and there are meetings about the rankings, but it hasn't been a major focus of our strategy at the faculty or the school level. But I think that's changing. Now, there is a number of factors that QS look at in relation to when they're looking at a university and then when they're looking at different faculties or schools. And so in relation to the QS ranking by subject rather than university only uses 4 indicators rather than 6, which are used at the university level. And each of the 4 indicators is ranked differently depending on which particular subject is being considered. So in relation to law, they look at the academic reputation, which is 50% of the weighting, the employer reputation, which is 30% of the weighting, the citations per paper, which are 5%, and the H index, which is 15%. And so, the key thing is the academic reputation, because that's 50% of the institution's overall subject score for law. And whereas as I mentioned before, the international rankings, the international votes, are given much higher weight than the domestic votes. So again, this is a very important aspect for the academic reputation, to focus more on the international people than the domestic people, because they get a higher score. So while it's still important to think about who you would choose nationally, it's even more important to think about who you want to say nice things internationally in relation to the law school. So that should be the focus. So that survey is based on over 130,000 individuals in the higher education space. And so the respondents of the survey are meant to range across academic and administrative grades, from lecturer to, the president of a university. And they're drawn from a number of different sources, which are people that previously participated in the survey, submitted contact lists from institutions. So Udiana would be asked, who do they want to suggest as names to include in the survey? And so you would think about which international people does the law school have a relationship with, and that you believe will say nice things about Udiana Law School and its reputation. People that sign up themselves on the QS sign-up facility, and this IBIS database as well. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor. It is something that we face currently because, for example, Indonesia, Ibu Dewi Kasih is the Vice Dean, also the National Assessor under the National Accreditation Board, right? So, according to the National Accreditation Board, there are several indicators of assessment. But when we are now participating in the initial process of the FIBAA, I guess Mr. Parikesit is the coordinator for this task force. There are several indicators that quite different from what we have in the indicators of assessment at the national level. And if we compare with any other institutions that provide international accreditation, some will also have a different emphasis on which indicator is given more weight, for example 20% or something like that. So this is actually that we are now facing. Sometimes Of course, we do not want to say this is difficult, but it's sometimes a technical barrier for us to put a stress or emphasizing which part of the university task, for example, should be given more priority. Whether, for example, in the human resources, you mentioned about the employer, yeah, and or more on the academics or reputation or this increasing the citation, for example, or how the students' participations in the teaching and learning process. So it is something that nowadays is something that not easy for us. Yeah. Do you face also some situations in Monash?
Yeah, I mean, every university has limited resources and so needs to decide where it wants to place its priority in its resources. But if you're just looking at the rankings, because academic reputation is the highest weighting, that would be sort of where you would put your priorities if you were particularly concerned with the QS rankings. But that's right, most things are a question of compromise, and it might be that you're moving resources from one thing to focus on another. Sometimes there might be efficiencies that can be made that don't mean that you do less of something. So maybe sometimes teaching can be done more efficiently, that creates more time for research, but doesn't reduce the quality of the teaching. But many other things will involve a question of priorities. And so that's something that each law school needs to look at differently. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, because of the time, now I'd like to invite the concluding remarks by the two speakers. So I'd like to firstly invite Professor Supasti to deliver a concluding remarks for this workshop, perhaps 2 minutes. Please, Professor.
Okay, thank you, Pak Budi. So, develop our academic atmosphere, international academic atmosphere collaboration first, and then in the second is to another strategy also to encourage our writing is always join call paper or something like that, whether not only stand up to writing people invited us as a invited speaker, but also very important to join in call paper as a common presenter. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Supasti. And Professor Mitchell, please, your concluding remarks.
So thanks again for the opportunity to speak today. I think that the faculty has achieved enormous successes and has huge potential. I think the research is very important, not just for rankings, but for a number of other reasons. And I think that the faculty should continue to aspire towards creating a culture of research excellence and nurturing the new academics, the junior academics, and helping them succeed and grow into successful academics. And I look forward to strengthening collaboration between Monash University and Udayana University. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much for the concluding remarks delivered by the two distinguished speakers, Professor Andrew Mitchell from the Monash Law School and Professor Supasti Darman from the Udayana University Faculty of Law. Ladies and gentlemen, participants who attend the workshops, both online and offline here, I guess more than half an hour ago, Professor Supasti mentioned a big name, Professor Grat. So, if I'm not mistaken, his full name, Professor Dr. Grat van den Heuvel. So, Professor Grat passed away in March 2022. So Professor Supasti was very humble, mentioning that he was the person who always give a hug whenever we face any obstacle and difficulties for carrying out the project, or any other matters. Anyone, just to commemorizing him, so Professor Grat was the professor at the law faculty, Maastricht University, the Netherlands. He was the project coordinator for the NPT project EDN 223, strengthening the faculty of law Udayana University through curriculum and human resources department. Yes, indeed, Professor Supasti mentioned that he was the person behind the massive international collaborations, not only on the research, because at that time Ibu Sagung was the coordinator of research, but also for institutional development. Of course, we always remind and remembering him. And we got the pictures and information from his son that the funeral has already been conducted last Saturday, and he is now rest in peace in the cemetery, if I'm not mistaken, in the Saint Teresa, still in Limburg, southern the Netherlands. Hopefully we can inspire his efforts to assist us, and now I guess it is the time for us. We have here all friends, colleagues, and also faculty leaders. So international collaborations is something that's very important to support the law school ranking, and research is part of that, because the publications, we have heard that for not only for the schools, for the law school, but also for the academician. I mean, it can be lecturers and students. And hopefully these workshops can bring a comparative insights as well, the international atmosphere again to us. And we are just quite happy. I guess this morning Mr. Parikasit mentioned Professor Mitchell is the first batch of our international friends who just landed in Bali and becoming part. It is almost 2 years we never hosting such event in the offline, because it was very difficult to invite foreigners to come here during the global pandemic, But now, perhaps this is the signs, we can start again the international collaborations, and I guess the Vice Dean for Academic Affairs is quite optimistic, We will continue to strive and efforts to make it happen. Professor Mitchell and Professor Supasti, thank you very much for excellent presentations and sharing. You've shared your experience and knowledge to us and to the committee. Thank you very much. Assign me as the moderators. Now, I would like to end this session. Thank you very much.
Once again, please give a huge applause for the amazing learning and discussion delivered by our outstanding speakers and well guided by our moderator. Our speakers and the moderator are allowed to back to their seats. Thank you. The next agenda is to give a certificate of appreciation and a souvenir to each speaker and moderator, which, first, the certificate will be given to Professor Andrew de Michel from Monash Law School. Second, the certificate will be given to Professor Dr. Niketut Supasti Darmawan SHM Hum LLM from the Faculty of Law, Udayana University. Lastly, the certificate will be given to our moderator, Imade Budi Arsika SHLLM. The certificates will be given by the first Vice Dean, Dr. Desa Putu Dewi Kasih SHM Hum, and by the head of the committee, Igusti Ngurah Parikesit SHM Hum LLM PhD. For the first Vice Dean, the head of the committee, our speakers, and the moderator may please come forward. Thank you. For the first Vice Dean, head of the committee, our speakers and moderator, please remain standing. Due to we will have a photo session, and we will also like to invite the participants on the hall, the offline participants, to come forward to have a photo session. Thank you. For the first Vice Dean and our speakers, moderator, and the head of the committee, may please stay due to we will have a photo session with the participants on the hall. Thank you. Yeah, for our speakers, moderator, for first Vice Dean and head of the committee, please standing due to we will have a photo session with the participants on the hall. Distinguished guests and participants, may remain standing. For distinguished guests and participants, may be back to seated. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're finally at the end of the international workshop on the important and outcome for law school rankings. We would like to thank all the speakers and participants who have joined us through this hall and on the Cisco WebEx meeting. It has been a pleasure to have you here. From the deepest of my heart, I do apologize on behalf of the committees if there were mistakes during this event. Once again, all of the international workshop on the importance of research strategy and outcome for law school rankings committees would like to say thank you very much for your kind attention and see you on another occasion. I'll close this event with Paramasanti. Santi Om. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Namo Buddhaya, and may peace be upon us. Thank you. I would like to kindly remind the online participants to fill the attendance link on the chat box. And for the participant on the hall, may access your e-certificate by logging on the link provided on the screen. Bagi peserta yang berada di aula, untuk mendapatkan e-certificate, bisa melihat link yang tertera pada layar. Terima kasih. Sekali lagi, kepada para peserta yang berada di aula, dapat mengakses e-certificate dengan login pada link yang tertera pada layar. Terima kasih. Terima kasih kepada para peserta atas kedatangannya. Jika telah selesai mengakses link pada layar, dipersilakan untuk meninggalkan ruangan dan bisa mengambil konsumsi di depan. Terima kasih. Sekali lagi kepada para peserta, terima kasih atas kehadirannya. Dan jika sudah mengakses e-certificate yang tertera pada layar, dapat mengambil konsumsi yang terdapat di depan. Terima kasih.
I'm going under, and this time I feel there's no one to save me. This all or nothing really got a way of driving me crazy. I need somebody to heal, somebody to know, somebody to have, somebody to hold. It's easy to say, but it's never the same. I guess I kinda like the way you numbed all the pain. Now the day bleeds into nightfall, and you're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down, then you pulled the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you loved. I'm going under, and this time I feel there's no one to turn to. It's all or nothing way of loving got me sleeping without you. I need somebody to know, somebody to heal, somebody to have, just to know how it feels. It's easy to say, but it's never the same. I guess I kinda like the way you helped me escape.